Hey guys, what's up? It is Voodoo here with a special vlog video. Today is June 19th, 2013. It's a Thursday, and making a special vlog to react to some gigantic news that came out today in the gaming world. If you've been up to date today, you'll know what happened regarding Microsoft and the Xbox One. Basically, the internet is blowing up. The internet's like having a coronary right now. Like, people who are on the internet and stuff are going to like the ICU and stuff. It's crazy. It's big news. So we'll get into it. I'll talk about what happened. I'll talk about my thoughts and reactions to what was announced today by Microsoft regarding Xbox One. So, as we all know, Xbox One had its reveal back in May. All sorts of bad rumors started popping up about the Xbox One regarding online connectivity, restrictions on used games, stuff of that nature. E3 came and went, and all Microsoft basically did was confirm all of that negative stuff. And as soon as E3 was over, all of the people who basically were not Xbox fans, people who weren't gonna just go run out and buy the next Xbox regardless of what the hell the thing was or could do, all the other people sat there and immediately said, fuck the Xbox One, and they ran out to all sorts of different electronic stores and pre-ordered PlayStation 4s, because the Xbox One was going to require a 24-hour check into the internet once every 24 hours to run the console. You were not going to be able to basically have the used game market, buying and reselling used games or trading games in. It was going to be tied to your Xbox One account. You could only share it with someone who was on your friends list for 30 days or something, which basically completely killed the used game market. And all this other ridiculousness. And on top of that, the head guy of the Xbox division of Microsoft, Don Mattrick, gave one of the worst interviews, the most arrogant, ridiculous interviews I've ever seen, where he basically spat in the face of every gamer out there, every one of his own consumers, by basically telling them, well, if you don't like what we're doing and you don't have online or whatever, you're stuck in the last generation and we have something for you. It's called Xbox 360. This ridiculous arrogance that he was showing, that the company was showing by shoving all this nonsense down our throats. Then had the nerve to launch the console at $100 more expensive than PlayStation 4. It was absolutely ridiculous. So as I said, everyone who wasn't an Xbox fan ran out and pre-ordered the PlayStation. Well, today, big news. I don't know how shocking this is. I don't know whatever, but Don Mattrick, the same guy who for the past few months now, or I guess since May, so really only the past month that we've really known about the Xbox One, has been swearing up and down by this new generation, this online only, that he knows best, he knows better than everybody else, and that he actually him and his team got feedback from a bunch of people, and they told him that this was a good idea, this online only nonsense and all this other stuff, and the no sharing of used games. He claims that he did all his research and these people said this was a good idea. He comes out today and basically says, well, we here at Microsoft and Xbox One, obviously the article didn't exactly say this, but it's basically what it meant. We here at Xbox have spent the last month wasting your fucking time. That's exactly what the press release basically said. Because all this stuff that he was so convinced of, and he stood by his convictions and said anybody who disagrees with it can kiss his ass and all this other stuff, he completely turns around and says, all of a sudden, we're completely changing our mind, and all that stuff that we said and we're so sure about, we're completely changing. So, wow, what a great conviction this man has. He's very strong. He's very, he sticks to what he believes in and what he knows is right. Give me a break. So, let me explain to you what Xbox basically did. The Xbox One has basically now become the Xbox 180, as in they have completely done a 180 on most of their nonsense. So, in a nutshell, the 24-hour online check-in is no more. That's gone. You don't have to do it. used games will work just as they do now on Xbox 360 and the way that they would have always worked on PlayStation 4, where disc-based games, you can share them, trade them in, sell them to used markets, all that other kind of stuff. Just as used games have always worked, okay? And a couple of the other things that they were trying to push, such as they said, like, if you once, the first time you put your disc into your Xbox and have that mandatory install that you have to do, you won't have to have the game disc in your console after the first time. They've now retracted that and said, no, you will have to have the game disc in the console. I don't understand why that's a big deal anyway. Like, who cares if you need the disc? Like, what do people do with their disc now? Do they take it, they put it in their Xbox, and then they, like, pick it up and then they throw it in the ocean? And then, like, when they go back to play, they're like, oh, that's right. I had this certain urge, this muscle spasm, where I took my game box and threw it in the ocean, so now I don't have my disc, so I can't play it. Like, I don't understand why not having your disc in the console is, like, a thing. But anyway, that's no more. You have to have the disc, and a couple of the other things. But here's my opinion on this. I'm going to give you my personal opinion on it, what it means for me, and then I'm going to give my opinion on what I think it means for the Xbox One as a whole. Personally, this announcement, as big as it was, had a minimal effect on me, okay? And I'll explain to you why. Firstly, as far as I'm concerned, this announcement and all this other stuff that they're changing now, it means nothing to me. Reason being, as far as I'm concerned, Microsoft already burned their bridge. They already royally screwed up. I mean, just the thought that they actually would do something like this, that they would impose these kinds of mandatory restrictions upon gamers, then claiming that these are actually for the future and that these are actually gamer-friendly features without ever providing one shred of evidence as to why that these are gamer-friendly, and then the arrogance with which Microsoft and and Xbox, headed by Don Mattrick, decided to pursue this, basically throwing it in everyone's face, saying, we don't care what you think, we know better than you, we know that this is better than everything else, and you're going to have to use it whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, you can go still use the Xbox 360. Like, just the thought that they would do this, and then the arrogance with which they continue to push this stuff down our throats, completely lost me. I mean, I'm done. I don't even want to. I have an Xbox 360 here, which I love. I don't even want to. I'm hesitant to even play my 360 now because of the ridiculousness that Microsoft and Xbox tried to push on me. Okay. So the fact that they're completely changing their minds now and eating everything that they said completely has no effect on me. I could care less, okay? Another reason is because myself, like many other people, after E3 was over, we already went out and pre-ordered our PlayStation 4s. So the fact that you're doing this so late in the ball game now, where everyone already has their pre-orders in, makes no sense, because all of us already went out and pre-ordered PlayStation 4s. Do you think that just because you said that, all of a sudden Xbox One doesn't have these retarded restrictions on them now, you think all these people are going to rush out and change their pre-orders and say, oh my god, well, that changes everything, and Xbox One now just beats the crap out of Sony, and I'm going to go... Not to me. I mean, maybe to some people, not to me. I am not rushing out and changing my pre-order to the Xbox One. I'm not. I pre-ordered PlayStation 4. I'm happy with PlayStation 4 because PlayStation and Sony came out from day one and said that basically all the stuff Microsoft was doing was ridiculous, that they were never doing it, that they were never considering doing it, and it would never happen. Xbox, on the other hand, came out since day one and said, we are doing this, we're forcing it on you, and we don't care what you think. So the fact that they're retreating now and completely switching everything, it actually makes me lose even more respect for them. Because not only did they try to do all of this stuff, they didn't even have the intestinal fortitude or the cojones to stand by it. They couldn't even stand by what they've been shoving down our throats for a month and being so arrogant about and saying, ha ha, you stupid plebeians who think that, you know, you're gonna play this last gen nonsense. It doesn't have to be online, and that you can rent games and buy used games. How ridiculous! All this stuff, they couldn't even stand by it. Here we are a month later, and they've completely backtracked and eaten their words, and they've been wasting our time for the past month with this garbage. So, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that they're changing this now, as far as the launch of the consoles, I don't care. I don't care. To me, this Don Mattrick guy has absolutely zero credibility. I have no respect for this guy at all. Absolutely zero. I really dislike Don Mattrick. Before, I just thought he was a creepy looking guy who wasn't that pleasant to the eyes to look at giving a conference, and he kind of creeped me out. Now, I have an active dislike toward Don Mattrick, and I wish I didn't have to freaking see his face again doing more stuff about Microsoft. Unfortunately, I know I'm going to have to, but I don't want to even see him anymore because just his face pisses me off because of what he said and his attitude toward people that he clearly knows nothing about. He doesn't know anything about average people. He doesn't know anything about gamers. He knows nothing. Absolutely nothing. And again, the fact that he would stand there and give that interview and say the stuff that he did, and then a week later to retract all of that, and then the best part about that is he claims in the article that he posts that the reason that they're changing all this stuff is because he listened to feedback. Well, wait a second, Don Mattrick. I gotta call you on your bullshit. Because I thought last week in your interview at E3, you said that the reason that you put all of this nonsense in the Xbox to begin with was because you did feedback and people said that it was a good idea. So now wait a minute. Now you're telling me that you got feedback from your customers and they told you that this was not good, and when he talks about feedback from the customers, he's talking about one thing, and that was the fact that PlayStation 4 was absolutely demolishing the Xbox One in number of pre-orders. That's the feedback that he got, okay? So if he's saying now that he got feedback from consumers and they said that this was a terrible idea so he's fixing it, then who the hell did you talk to before when you claimed you got feedback that said that this stuff was a great idea? Who did you get feedback from? Yourself? Did you go stand in front of a mirror and say, "Hey Don, hey, do you think it's a good idea if we make our console have to check in every 24 hours?" And his reflection goes, "Yes, Don, I think it is a good idea." And then he goes, "Oh, do you think it's a good idea, reflection, that we won't let the gamers play used games and we'll make them pay $60 every time they want to play a game?" And then his reflection turns around and goes, "Oh yes, Don, that's a great idea. You're a genius, Don. You have a beautiful mind and everyone should worship at your feet and kiss your feet." Because that must have been exactly what happened. Because I don't know who he talked to before. Of course, anyone with a brain had those same questions when he said this a week ago, that he had feedback that said these things were a good idea, because everyone looked around and said, well, no gamer said this was a good idea, so where the hell did he get his information? But now, by saying that the feedback from the consumers told him to completely change everything, he's admitting openly that he didn't talk to any gamers when he made these decisions for the Xbox One, which of course we all knew, but now he's admitting it himself. So who did he talk to? I don't know. Like I said, it must have been his mirror or his wife or something who just said, "Yes, Don, yes, good idea, yes, Don, you're a brilliant man, Don." Because I don't know who told him this. So, like I said, as far as a personal perspective goes, it has no impact on me. Because I pre-ordered my PlayStation 4. I couldn't be happier. Because not only, as I mentioned, did PlayStation 4 come out from the very beginning and said that they wouldn't include any of this nonsense, they have stood by that. They've stayed strong in their convictions. They haven't changed anything. They haven't backtracked. They haven't done damage control. They haven't eaten their own words. They haven't put 9 feet in their own mouth. They haven't done any of that. They've been open and honest since day one, and it's been no nonsense. So I'm sticking with PlayStation 4. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I'm scared to death of Microsoft and Xbox, because if they had these ideas and they were going to go through with these things, what in the hell are they going to have in the future? I mean, okay, maybe they won't have these specific things, but, I mean, Jesus, if they thought this was a good idea, what the hell kind of other ideas are they going to come up with in the future that they think are these brilliant, great ideas that they're going to force on us and that's going to be awful? I don't know. I'm scared to death of Microsoft right now. I want to avoid them like the plague, because I don't know what they're going to come up with next. And now, since they've backtracked and ate all their own words, I can't trust a damn thing that comes out of their mouth, because they may say, I mean, if they can retract on this, then what prevents them from saying in the future, oh, we stand by this, no no restrictions on used games, you can play it offline. What prevents them from one day saying, oh, we changed our mind again? We went back to the original people, and they said that the online stuff, you have to have it, it's great, and then they change back. You know what I mean? Or, like I said, another crazy idea that they think is just, this great idea, and I don't know. I can't trust anything they say, because they can completely change it on a moment's notice, and just the ideas that they had to force this stuff on me, I want to avoid them like the plague. Now, the only positive thing is, I can say this, is that if in the future I get over this, maybe if the company decides to fire Don Mattrick for being a colossal idiot, and they kind of rebuild their reputation in the future, then at least the fact that they don't have these online restrictions or anything, for me the big thing is it's able to play used games now. It opens the door for me to possibly look into an Xbox One in the future. I don't know if that's going to happen. Right now, as I said, I have no desire to buy anything Microsoft. I don't want the Xbox One. They pissed me off. So I don't want it. Now, as I said, in the future, if I change my mind and get over it, the door is open for me to buy an Xbox One, because I can at least continue to do my channel and play games on the Xbox One, whereas before, it was completely impossible. Other than that, as I said, there's no impact on me personally. I pre-ordered PlayStation 4, I'm sticking with it. Now, as far as what I think it's going to do for Xbox One in general, among people in general, I do believe that Xbox One is going to have an increase in sales because of this. I think that there will be people who look at it and say, okay, good, people who haven't made up their minds yet, haven't pre-ordered anything, and they see this, then they might say, okay, some of the people who had a 360, who really liked the 360, but after seeing what Xbox One was going to do, jumped ship and said that they were going to switch to Sony. Maybe the fact that the Xbox One retreated on this kind of stuff, maybe they'll say, well, now I'm going to go back and stick with Xbox. The thing is, I don't know. It doesn't have an impact on me. I don't realistically see how many people are going to run out who have already pre-ordered PlayStation 4 and change it to an Xbox One. I don't think it's going to be that many. I think the people who have pre-ordered PlayStation 4 are going to stick with it because, like me, Microsoft has left such a bad taste in all of our mouths that we could care less what they say about the Xbox One. That it'll spit out gold bars every day. I think a lot of people still wouldn't buy it. I really don't know. Like I said, I do think that this will, in the long term, help Xbox One. But I will say this. I definitely do not believe that Xbox One will sell. It will sell more than it would have originally, but I still don't believe it will sell as many consoles as they would have if this was never an issue. If they had just come out from day one and said that used games would work how they always do and there would be no online connectivity and all this other stuff. If they had said that since day one, I think Xbox One and PlayStation 4 would have had a real battle on their hands, and it would have been a really good fight. But now, since they said all that stuff, and they said all the insulting things that they said, and they were so arrogant, yeah, now that they've gone back, the Xbox One will sell more than it would have had they left all this nonsense on there, but it's still, in my opinion, at launch, will not sell as many as it could have sold if they just never had implemented this stupid nonsense to begin with. And I still think PlayStation 4 is going to have a hefty lead over Xbox One at launch. Now, I can't predict what's going to happen 3, 4, 5 years into the life cycle of the next generation. I have no idea, because things will change. New games and stuff, new exclusives will come out. Stuff will happen. So there's no telling, a few years into the life cycle, what's going to happen with Xbox One and PS4 and who's going to be winning. But as far as launch is concerned, I still think PS4 is going to have a large edge. It's going to be smaller than it initially was going to be, but I think Xbox One really screwed themselves. I think that it's too little too late to be making these changes. I really do. I think for a lot of people it's too little too late. I think, like I said, it's good for the long term for their company because they will sell more units, but it never should have happened. This never should have been an issue. They never should have tried to go this route. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know who advised Don Mattrick to take the attitude that he took, the ridiculous ironclad stance that he took in insulting the people who were supposed to be buying his system, insulting everybody who doesn't have internet, or people who don't have access to it. I don't know who told him that that was a good idea. I'm assuming it's the same people that told him that it was a good idea to implement these things. So again, probably his reflection, or his wife or something, or his mother, who told him to take this kind of stance toward the people who are supposed to be his consumers. I don't know, but it was a giant mistake. They're trying to do damage control right now. They're trying to scramble and regain sales because they were doing so poorly. And to me, I don't care. I don't care. And I haven't heard an apology from Don Mattrick. I haven't heard any apology from him to come out and say that he's sorry for what he said, or how because he doesn't care. Because Don Mattrick still thinks he's right. He still thinks that all the other stuff was the right way to go. The only reason he's doing it is because he knows that if he doesn't, the thing won't sell and he'll be fired. I mean, that's the only reason that this is happening. It's obvious. He still doesn't care about gamers. He still doesn't know anything about gamers. He could care less about the fact that gamers never wanted this in the first place, or that it would inconvenience gamers. He didn't care. He still doesn't care. It's not an issue to him. The only thing that he cares about is dollar signs and keeping his job, where he gets paid, I'm sure, way more money than he deserves. So that's the only reason this is being done. And so I don't care. It's a shallow gesture. It's a hollow move that doesn't have gamers in mind. It has himself in mind, and he still thinks that he's right, and he still thinks that he knows better than everybody else, and that he's just conceding to sell more consoles to people that he probably deems backwards, or stuck in the past, or not as evolved as him, or whatever words he would throw around. Who knows what goes on in that guy's head? I don't know. But anyway, that's my reactions to the news. I'm sticking with PlayStation 4, and I still do not have any plans to get an Xbox One. That may change in a couple years. I really don't know. It may not. But for now, sticking with PlayStation 4, I still think it's the best console. I still think Sony is the company that, for this whole generation, has been with gamers and has stuck by them and has stuck by what's right and have not changed their position. And they're getting my money, plus they're $100 cheaper. So it's an obvious choice for me. So let me know what you guys think about it. I'm interested to see what other people's reactions are, because I don't know. I only know my own. And if you have any thoughts, post them up. Let me know what you think. So this is Voodoo. This has been a special vlog reacting to the Xbox One's complete 180 reversal of all their policies that they stood so firmly for. Now, all of a sudden, in a matter of a week, they don't stand so firmly by any of them, and they completely change them. So this has been my reactions to that. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave comments below. If you enjoyed this video, you can go ahead and like it for me. That would be awesome. And I'll see you guys on more vlogs in the future expressing my opinion. So until then, peace out and have a good one.